Good morning, welcome to Exploring the Ka with host Castaldo, and this is part 2 of my experience last night. Oh, I mean not last night, the other night, which basically pretty much I'm coming to find out that I basically fought off a Milab abduction, and I really feel like they were trying to work on my 5 bodies. Like I said, we all have 5 bodies which the soul encloses. We have our material, our astral, our aura, our spirit, our soul, and it was interesting because during this experience, look at my previous video from yesterday if you're looking, so I don't have to go through the whole experience again. But basically, I remember more. Now, as I was posting the video yesterday, I started to recall more about what happened. And while working yesterday, I started to recall more as well. And it's interesting because for those who aren't aware of certain technologies and soul technologies, they might have not been able to tell the difference between dream time and some kind of real dream experience and some kind of technology, which basically dream is. I mean, we are technology. I've said it before, things that seem like magic are just soul technology, if you want to call it that way, astral technologies. And it was interesting because I remember being pinned down, and at first there was this technology that was saying different things in my head and getting me to trying to get me to believe what was taking place, and putting some artificial memories or some artificial screen or overlay over what was happening to try to divert me off of what was truly happening, and it was funny because I remember sitting there, I don't really find this funny, but I remember sitting there like pinned there with my arms pinned down, and I was trying to move my arms, and when this overlay happened and this information, I remember saying, "Oh, this is voice to skull, this is voice to skull," like I was calling them on their technology, like, "Fuck you, this is voice to skull." And then during the I had the out of body confrontation experience, and I was saying that, another one, like, I understand, like, I kind of knew what was going on in a way, and it was like a confusion, and like I knew that it was some trickery happening, and I was like in a state of I don't want to say confusion, but I was trying to differentiate the difference between what's taking place and what are they trying to implant, like what kind of overlay, what kind of screen memory are they trying to give me. And I was fighting it off from the beginning, and then the next stage they gave me was the apparition, the apparition that was right outside the door, and I saw it coming, and I'm thinking now that apparition possibly might have been me out of body, which is pretty intense. And they were giving me family trickery, like different things from my childhood were in the room. All of a sudden I saw toys from my childhood, missing pieces of toys that I was looking for when I was a kid, all these types of childhood connections that they were trying to throw in there. And so somehow they did tap into my memory, and I totally fought it off, though. I think their goal was to remove me from that room, and thank God that didn't happen. But this happened like almost 2 days ago now, and my eye is still very red. I don't know if you can see it on there. It looks white when I'm looking at it now, but I can't wear my contact in my left eye because it's really like hurting me, so and an interesting note on that is I have poor eyesight that started right after my near-death experience in 1987 and my awakening. And right after that, I started to need glasses, 1988. All of a sudden, I started playing baseball the next season, and I couldn't see the ball coming at me. Before that, I had good eyesight. And then recently, like a year ago, I went to the eye doctor to see if I can get laser eye surgery, and they were like, no, you're not a candidate. You got to go see a specialist because you have massive scarring on both of your corneas. And it's interesting because I do have I used to have a reoccurring dream when I was younger of me, who I have found out now it was Lauda Leon, me and her running through an underground labyrinth, and my contacts had fallen out of my eyes, and I was like screaming at the younger, it was a younger Lauda, you know, and it was probably her as a pre-teen or just becoming a teen, maybe 13, 14, and I was probably around 15 or 16 at this time, and I had this dream all through my 20s too, and I was screaming at the girl with me, Lauda, to help me get my freaking contacts. I was yelling at her, and she was like, stop screaming at me. She was all like upset too, and I was trying to put my contacts in my eyes. They were like on the floor, and I was trying to put them back in my eyes, and it's crazy because during that time of my life, I constantly was getting eye infections as well, and every time I have one of these experiences, it seems like my eye is always bloodshot red or infected afterwards. And you know, I'll post more as this more comes back to me or whatever, but I have massive experience in dream time, you know, throughout my whole life. And I also have a lot of protection, ancestral protection, and it takes a lot to get me out of my comfort zone in my room, in my bed. So, and this technology that they have can accomplish that. I don't think anybody is out of their reach that's on this planet, and we really have to get together and join, because we can't do this alone. We only can do this as a team. Like Voltron, we form. Me and my tribal team, we form as one. Like Voltron in uniform, you know, coming like a big lion. We're all forming, coming as a big lion to fuck shit up. And that's what we have to do. We have to become Voltron to take on the negative forces of the universe. And we all have a form as some tribal team. And now we're back. I'm jumping. I'm a time jumper. So everybody, yeah. So that was my recollection of my there wasn't a Milab because I was not abducted, but it's interesting because right before that happened, the day before that experience, I was telling Lauda, and everybody, you can check out Lauda Leon, and you can even find me on her colleagues page on her website, but it's sovereignkey.com. And you know, I was telling her over the phone, actually it was over a Zoom chat, we were having a Zoom chat the other day, and I was telling her how, and she was telling me how she remembers me and seen me in some of her Milab experiences, and I was kind of fighting her with it, and it's really not something I like to talk about. But then she was, you know, I was telling her, you know, it takes a lot to get me, to abduct me from my bed. I was like almost challenging them in a way. I was telling her, wow, it's, you know, I was telling her how, you know, it's going to take a lot to get me. I have protection and blah, blah, blah. So I think that they felt that was sort of a challenge, and they came to me, you know, because not only that, but I really feel that these our government are in direct workings with these fallen, these entities, you know, these archonic entities, and they are in cahoots with them, or, you know, maybe have even unleashed some of them that were imprisoned. I know for sure, not for, you know, almost for sure. I mean, it was people died within my lineage to pass on this information. So, you know, whole lifetimes and generations were dedicated to this information about some of these daemons, or whatever you want to call them, Goetia, were imprisoned in these astral thought form cubes or prisons, and some of them were stored beneath lakes and bodies of water, one of them being Lake Nemi. And at the turn of the century, Caligula had released one of them that I've talked of, Barbatos. And I also spoke how I think Daniel from the Bible might have had one of these spirits within him, with an agenda to convert people to Christianity and the Jewish God, some angel of matter, some God of matter, because the God in the Bible is not the all-knowing consciousness, the universal consciousness. It's some material God of matter, some God that likes to play and show you that he's your ruler, okay? He likes to play games. You know, he likes to have you in fear. And this is not what a true omniscient being does. Trust me. You know, if the God I believe in is a all-loving, all-knowing consciousness, you know, it's not someone that would take valuables for you or take family members from you just to see how loyal you are, just to see how devoted, how good of a servant you are. And, you know, that's not a God that I believe in. And, you know, these watchers or astral guardians that were here to keep us in check and let us know that we're not going to ascend higher than them, they've been called archangels in Kabbalah. You know, they were also known as the Irin to some people, you know, and the Irin were basically ruled over by four great generals, you know, or angels. And they, you know, one was the Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Oriel. And, you know, these beings also were seen as watching over us from watchtowers. And these watchtowers are now portals marking one of the four quarters of the earth and of the ritual circle that this earth is running under now. You see, this earth has been hijacked by black magic, okay, for a couple of 100,000 years now. We've been under the rule of black magic, especially America. And they are ruling from their watchtowers or towers. Even the military, you know, fighting unit and a watchtower, you know, they're seen as, even the guards in a prison are seen from their tower, ruling over you from their watchtower, you know. And these watchtowers are seen as towers in the skies, the eyes of night from the stars looking down, watching over us, letting us know we have rulers hanging above us in towers, watchtowers, you know. And this is where the Bible gets their concept of guardian angels from, because they're actually watching over our divine spark. They're guarding our spiritual ascension, letting us know that we won't ascend any higher than them because they are rulers over us. And, you know, this is not something that is beneficial for our spiritual ascension and our spiritual evolution as a species. And these beings are what gave us our knowledge, and then they decided that we're too troublesome having this knowledge. You know, we have this ability to be more powerful even than them. And it's interesting because when religion's involved, people tend not to be able to break their molding of what they were brought up on. But everything we've been taught is wrong and an illusion. And, you know, time is an illusion. These physical realm, it's sort of a contract we made, an application to apply for some time experiencing the five senses, experiencing this material plane. And when we die, that we still the same soul. It's just that cord is cut, and you no longer feel the five senses anymore. It is now just your soul body, you know. And there's also something I wanted to bring up about symbols and stars and all these you know, stars, whether it's the inverted star, you know, the hexagram, you know, all these different stars. And there's one star that not too many people talk about, and it's known in the occult as the fairy star, or the septagram, the seven-pointed star. And this, I feel, is going to be a symbol that starts to re-emerge, as well as the hexagram, which we've been seeing a lot. And that's the star. The hexagram is basically the symbol for Saturn. And the fairy star is regarded as a gift from the fairies, and it's like a human, it's a bridge from humans between the fairy realm and bridging the two realms. And that's why you see even that fairy star on top of the wand. And this is basically what the fairy star looks like. And it's something that I'm going to get into later on in a future video blog. But it basically represents the sun, magic, wind, moon, door, woods, and sea. And this brings you, connects you to all these realms within the fairy universe, or the fae. And basically that's like, you could say fae, you could say underworld, but it's the lower astral realms. This is what they are in, lower astral realms. And they will divert you and trick you off your course of spiritual ascension. That's what they are there for. To misguide you. Even if it seems benevolent, they're guiding you off your true spiritual path and the blueprint your soul is supposed to follow. And this blueprint is laid out for you at birth. And to follow it, and to follow your spiritual ascension, is the true goal of our humanity, and the reason why I feel we are here. And I'm gonna say, spiral out.